Greetings everyone, Slizzle466 here, and in today's video we're looking at a tier list I put together for the wild mode based on some nerfs that have just gone into effect. That first nerf being Evocation, having its mana cost increased from 1 to 2 mana, and Astromancer's Solarian. The Solarian Prime used to cost 7, now it costs 9. So if we look at what I call tier S, I've got one deck in tier S, and that is Reno Priest. Now, what makes this deck go into tier S? Well, its worst matchups were Quest Mage and Reno Mage. Quest Mage has had Evocation nerfed, Reno Mage has had the Astromancer nerfed, and all the other matchups for Reno Priest are just kind of between 40-60% chances. So I think Reno Priest is in an incredibly strong spot. Might be a problematic deck, might be the next deck to result in some sort of nerfs. We'll see what happens, but this specific list I hit Legend with on 3 different servers, and it's probably one of the best lists you're gonna be able to ladder with. Moving to tier 1, at the top we have our first aggro deck of the tier list, Discard Warlock. Discard Warlock is basically a deck where you just vomit out your hand, preferably with a Kenrithad Ebenlock. You've got your Dark Glare, which isn't as good as it was in the past, but the deck doesn't evolve around it. Just having 1 on the board is good. If you manage to get 2 on the board, especially with your Kenrithad, it can be absolutely insane. It's a very fast, very aggressive deck. Another aggressive deck, awDuLYDpNEDAA. It's not running Blessing of Authority. I'm personally not a big fan of that card. I prefer to have more of an anti-aggro build of awDuLYDpNEDAA, and so that's why you see the Corridor Creepers in there. You've also got the animated Broomsticks, just to give you a better chance against faster decks compared to awDuLYDpNEDAA. We have Quest Mage in tier 1. So even though Evocation has been nerfed, Quest Mage is still a good deck. This list that I've built myself, I have taken out Evocation, I've taken out Wandmakers, and in its place I've put in Magic Tricks, and I've put in a Stargazer Luna. So apart from the Wand Thief, this is basically what Quest Mage was before Evocation was released, and it's still going to be really strong. It's still going to be good into Reno Priest, but it's just toned down a little bit with that nerf to Evocation. Yet another aggro deck, Aggro Druid, the deck that can vomit its hand on turn 1 or 2, kill you by turn 3 or turn 4, and if it doesn't kill you, you kill it. The game's very fast, you either win or you lose very quickly. This specific list would be my go-to list personally. I don't like running Lightning Bloom, I don't like running Ship's Cannon, I just like to vomit my hand and hopefully win. Looking at Cube Warlock, there are a lot of different variants of Cube Warlock out there. I think the build you want to go with is one that involves Bad Luck Albatross to target Reno Priest. This specific list, it's not too greedy, so there's 1 expired merchant. I'm not running, say, an Umbra or cards like that give you extra value, because the meta is pretty aggressive outside of Reno Priest, and Reno Priest itself is also kind of aggressive because with Pokelt it can kill you on turn 9 or 10. But this specific list, it's quite well tuned to the meta, and I think you'll find it one of the better cube lists, one of the more kind of sensible lists you'll see in the current meta. The last deck that I've put into tier 1 here is Kingsbane Rogue, yet another aggro deck. So tier 1 is pretty chock-a-block full of aggro outside of Cube Lock. This specific list, It's running a single sap, which I really like. Quite often, if an early Void Lord comes down or a big Shaman cheats out a Scrapyard minion, you know, the big 10 mana 7/7 taunt guy, it's an auto lose. So just having that single sap can be quite useful. But otherwise, this is just a chock-a-block crazy aggro face list, like most of Tier 1. So basically, it's Tier S, play Reno Priest, or Tier 1, play a face deck, or play Cube Warlock. Let's move to Tier 2. So Tier 2, top of Tier 2, I've got Malygos Druid. Malygos Druid is actually very strong. It's not the easiest deck to pilot, but it is very good into Reno Priest because it can deal a bunch of damage out of nowhere. You can ramp very quickly, draw very quickly. Yes, Dirty Rat is a problem, but it's not the end of the world. Sometimes Dirty Rat might mill part of your combo or might pull part of your combo out of your hand. A lot of the time, Geppetto Joybuzz or even just a couple Lightning Blooms and an Innervate are enough to get around that if you lose one of your combo pieces. Even if you lose your Malygos, it's not the end of the world. You can just spam your hand out, make a big board. Maybe your opponent can't deal with it. Back to the aggro decks. Odd Rogue. Now, there are lots of different Odd Rogue lists floating around, and personally, I don't like the weapon ones that buff the weapon a lot and try and draw with cutting class. That's my personal opinion. This specific build that I built myself, it's like a pseudo anti-aggro, anti-Reno list. So anti-aggro because of the magic carpets, anti-Reno because of the beneath the grounds. This is a list that I hit double legend with in September, and I think it's really strong. Give it a try. If you don't like it, that's okay. Try one of the other top tier lists of Odd Rogue, but I personally really like this build of Odd Rogue. Even Shaman, the deck that never goes away. This is another list that I hit legend with last month on the Asia server. So it's the totem build again. It's a face deck. It's vomit your hand, hero power a lot, try and kill your opponent with your totems. If it doesn't work, slam a Stormbringer, hope for the best. Otherwise, move on to the next game. Now we get to some classy decks. Reno Mage. Now, so this is a Reno Luna's Pocket Galaxy Mage. I have cut the Astromancer Solarian from this list. Initially, I thought that it would be still in the list because, you know, Luna's Pocket Galaxy is here. The Solarian Prime's worth 1. But keep in mind that only the first Solarian Prime is going to be 1, assuming you shuffle it into your deck and you play the Luna's Pocket Galaxy. If you generate more Solarian Primes, they're now 9 mana. That's really clunky. And so my idea here is, you know what else can do kind of the same thing as Solarian Prime, which is usually YOLO a board clear and do some cool stuff? Amazing Reno. So let's just run Amazing Reno. Why not? It's a tech that people are already running. You also might prefer to run a Frostlich Jaina or just some sort of clear. But yeah, I really don't think Astromancer sees a place anymore in Reno Luna's Pocket Galaxy Mage. Big Shaman. So this specific list is a heavy devolve list, so it's running double devolving missiles, double devolve, light on the top end because it's all about get the fountains against aggro, get the Colossus against control, do that as early as possible before they have a chance to be able to deal with a ridiculous board. Big Shaman is kind of an all-in deck. It's either go for it crazy early game, maybe get it in the mid game, late game kind of has some issues, but very strong deck. And if you want to play the style of big decks, then this is the way to go. To round out the bottom of tier 2, we have Secret Mage. Turns out Lorekeeper Polkelt is pretty good. Not only getting your Alaneth is really great, but also pulling your Cloud Prince and Fireballs to finish off your opponent the following turns is absolutely ridiculous. So this build of Secret Mage, I've had a ton of success. So has my cousin, Sluzzle699. We both approve of this deck, and you might approve of it as well. Moving on to tier 3, which is the last tier I'm going to discuss. I don't like to discuss tier 4 because there's basically 100 decks to look at in tier 4. So we're going to stop at tier 3. Tier 3 starting with Reno Quest Mage. Now, Reno Quest Mage, it's one of those decks that has to be intricately built. And the latest builds have been running Evocations, Sorcerer's Apprentices, Wand Makers. I don't think that's going to cut it anymore. So I've removed those cards from this build that I've come up with myself. And in its place, my mindset is I want to beat aggro. And Reno Quest Mage is a little slow, especially since Open Away got nerfed to 8 spells, not 6. So to help with that slowness, we've got a Combustion. We've got a Volcanic Potion. And so that's just going to help you just buy an extra turn or two against more aggressive decks. I've also opted to include a Potion of Illusion, just because there are so many valuable Battlecry minions that are already pretty cheap in this list, and why not get some more copies of them with Potion of Illusion? One thing you're going to find a problem with Reno Quest Mage is it's actually difficult to complete your quests now. And so by being able to get some of these quest completing minions back in your hand for 1 mana can help you get that job done. The bottom of tier 3 rounds out at all warrior decks. Now, this first list Bomb Warrior, it's actually a Pirate Warrior in disguise. So the early game is Pirate Warrior. The mid-game transitions into playing either a Porkelt or a Wrench Caliber, and then you basically become a Bomb Warrior for the mid to late game. Most of the time with this list though, you're going to find that you won't need the bombs. You just whack your opponent in the face a lot and you win the video game. The next warrior list to look at is Galakrond Warrior, which is again Pirate Warrior in disguise. It's got the same early game Pirate Warrior package, but instead of going for bombs, we slam down Porkelt and we transition into our mid game into our Galakrond late game. If you'd like to play a classier warrior deck that might put you to sleep, you've got awDuLYD. awDuLYD, I couldn't find a great list, I'm going to be honest. So this list is a little bit dodgy, but you know, you've got your Barov with your early clears. You've got your Town Criers to help get you your Ziliacs, to help get you your Rabid Worgens. Again, Rabid Worgens only in here because of the Town Crier. And if you queue into a greedy deck, and you can't grind them out with your tank up, you've got Archivist Elsiana. Just be aware, people know that you play this card, so they're going to try and dirty rat you. So keep a couple minions in hand to avoid the dirty rat of this, and you'll have a chance to win. And last of all, we have Dead Man's Hand Warrior, a deck that I have a lifetime play of, I think, 2 games. So I can't really say much about it. When I queue into it, I tend to beat it because my opponent doesn't know what they're doing. When I play it, I don't know what I'm doing and I lose. So I'll leave it up to you to decide if this is a deck you want to ladder with. But based on the various lists that I've seen, I think this is one of the better lists to go with. So If you'd like to try out any of these decks on the Wild Ladder, you'll find all of the deck codes in the description below. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watching this video. If you want to help support the channel, you can click the subscribe button, click that notification bell, and until next time, I hope to see you again.